Okay, so I just woke up in my sleep, y'all. I just, whew, God has been speaking to me in this 2:06 a.m. hour. Oh man, he is so good, y'all. He is so good. So, just to give you guys a little background, so I had a total loss yesterday. Crazy, right? Yes. I was making a U-turn. She didn't see me. Whatever. I was just like literally hit at a good maybe 20, 30 miles per hour. And I was just like T-bone, like straight both doors, like hit in. And I was fine. Like, I just immediately at that, like saying, okay, I'm okay. Like, oh, this happened. I'm okay. Okay, so then I get out the car. I'm an insurance agent. So, of course, this is something I help people with all the time, but I'm on the other side. I'm never the one that gets hit. I've never had an at-fault accident in my life. Like, I didn't know anything beyond what I tell people when they're in that situation. So I get out the car, the lady's worried, she's upset. She's like, oh my God, you tanked in front of me, you didn't put your blinker on, yada, yada, yada. You know, like the normal stuff you would say when you don't want to be at fault. So I was like, it's okay. Like, all I wanted to do was just make sure she was okay. I was just like, ma'am, are you okay? I'm still smiling, y'all. I know she was looking at me like mad. But I'm like, are you okay? And she was like, I'm okay. I'm fine. I'm like, okay. She better say that later when they ask her in the claim. If she tried to say she injured, she's walking up to her car just pacing, upset, like, oh, do I need to call the police? Da, 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 da. I'm like, hey, good luck. They don't come in Dallas. Like, they do not pull up. But you can drive. Like, unless we hanging up the car, they gonna drive past us. Like, they're not worried. And finally, she shakes my hand. She's like, okay, my name is yada yada. So I'm like, okay, I got you. I'm an insurance agent. I do this every day. Like, we're gonna get this filed. Don't worry about it. I'll take liability. It's cool. Like, let's just make sure both our cars get off this road and we get on with our day. And she was like, okay. So I helped her file a claim. I even tried to help her family members locate where she was because we were like on a random street. They were like, don't send her my number. I was like, okay, good luck finding her. No, but I was like, okay, like whatever. People, people gonna be people. So I was like, okay. So I'm helping her as much as I can. At the end, she's kind of laughing with me like, you could have did that U-turn in a less wider way. And I'm like, okay, maybe I could have, maybe I was a little wild with my U-turn, but could have stopped. Like, but anyways, it was just funny. Like, we're just laughing, literally just going like back and forth. Like, I was like, ma'am, it's cool. Like, I'm just glad we're okay. Like, and the situation ended. She get off, she leaves. I text her, and she's like, "Same to you. Be blessed." Like, it wasn't a bad situation. That could have went a lot worse. But I said that to say, as I'm trying to fulfill a purposeful life, when I'm trying to walk in my purpose, when I'm trying to be used by God, when I'm trying to walk in anointings, in positivity, in peace, and love, is when the enemy or the world or myself tries to take it away somehow. And in those moments when I'm still proven to be positive, optimistic, checking on others, even willing to fall on the sword just for the better good of the situation, like that just continues to show the character that I have, that God has instilled in me. Nothing about my reaction was me. I would have normally been panic thinking about, oh man, I gotta go get my kids, I gotta miss work, I gotta finance a car, my car is possibly gonna get I would have been thinking of all these things in that moment. But in that moment, all I wanted to do was just thank God for being okay. Thank God that she's okay. Make sure that she was okay. All I wanted to do was help somebody else when I probably needed help myself. When God calls you to do something, there's going to be a whole bunch of things in your head telling you why you shouldn't. There's going to be a whole bunch of outside forces trying to convince you that it's too inconvenient. You're going to feel too busy for God, too inconvenienced for God. I don't got time to pray this morning. I got to hurry up and get out. Like, you're going to always feel you have a reason to put God off the closer you are to fulfilling something that he wants you to do. Following God, being obedient to his cause are never convenient, ever. And just knowing that I was so afraid of something happening in that car let me know how much power that car had over me. it has so much power over me. But in a moment to where I knew my car was possibly totaled, and it is now, it has been determined, but I kind of didn't care. Like, I was like, okay, like, it's totaled. Now what? Like, you know, I gotta go get another car, another loan. Like, that car was almost paid off. Like, but hey, it is what it is. Like, I get a new car. I don't know. Like, I'm just looking for all the upsides in the situation. I'm not worried about what I lost so much, but rather what can I gain from this situation. Okay, now I gained understanding that my car really did not define me. Like, that car really didn't matter to me. I was being consumed by things that wasn't important. My car made me feel so much status. When I see people walking, I'm just like, oh man, I would never want to be there without a car. I see people borrowing other people's cars. I would never want to be there. It showed me, as the tow truck guy dropped me off at the QT with a bag of my belongings like a bum, it showed me how much status I was holding on to because of that car. And it showed me how quickly that status can be ripped away. And it showed me to stop identifying with things that literally can be gone just like that. So I realized in that moment, right after literally I hopped in my rental, put back on my record to audio, and I started this message about loss. Losing something is the best thing that can happen to you. Literally, a person, a friendship, finances, a job, a dream, a hope. Like, losing something is the best thing that can happen to you. In that moment, you realize what remains. In the moment of loss, you realize what remains. When the dust settles, you look around, and those are the things that matter. Every time somebody abandoned me, every time somebody left my life, every time somebody passed away, I remembered the comfort that I get from God. I remembered the friend that I had in God. I remembered the father that I had in God. That's okay that that person wasn't there. I remember how many times God showed up. So what I'm telling you is, when you lose, God's abundance is made clear. Whatever it is that you feel like you were lacking, you find it in Him. And that is what I realized when that car accident happened, is that I didn't lose nothing. I gained understanding about who was in my life, who I could count on, all the people that was like, oh, you need me to pull up? You need me to... Like, I was like, okay, no, you don't gotta come. You don't gotta come. Like, I was so happy to have a support system that I didn't even know I had until a moment happened where I needed some people. And I didn't know I had so much peace until a moment where my peace could have been shaken, and it wasn't. I realized what I had in that moment, and that is so much more powerful and special and priceless than anything that I could lose. None of those things can be stripped away from me. And that is where the value in your relationship with God grows, and your dependency on God grows. And when you become more dependent upon the source and not your resources, your life will be made plentiful. So that is what I learned from losing my car. And then on a side note, back to the attacks of a life, when you are trying to follow God's path.